Hi, this is Gogo Akaya, and I wanted to come and share something with you today, specifically about voice hearing and what that means for us spiritually and in Western medicine and mental health, and really connecting the dots and um, addressing stigma in our community, specifically with in women of color, is what I've been having an experience with lately. And I just wanted to talk about some of the inspirations that I've had, and also some of the realizations that have come to me with working with voice hearers and voice hearers that are women of color. So I would like to just briefly go over the type of voices that one can hear and the types of voices that I have experienced in working with people. One is the voice of trauma. So this is a type of voice that will come in and actually sound like it's outside of yourself. But the voice of trauma usually, in my experience, has been the same as the person's actual voice. So they will hear their actual voice, whether it be a younger version of them, or a version of them that is actually here presently, and they will. This voice comes as an awakening voice, a voice that says, "Hey, I really need to deal with this trauma." But these types of voices will say, they will be in a place of mourning. So the energy of the inner child will be crying, or always upset or angry. And the anger comes out in ways that you would experience, like a bully. Like you can hear a loud voice bullying you and saying, "Oh, you're not worthy. You're not going to do that. You're scared. You're this, you're that. You're ugly. You're terrifying. Nobody wants to talk to you." And this is the actual loud voice that they're hearing. These people are experiencing, and I've been linking this type of voice to responses from the inner child in trauma that has happened, either as babies, as adolescent, or even in our teenage years, where something has been triggered and that energy of protection needed to come forth, and that child was made to be the protector, but the child doesn't have the actual skill or the ability to protect in a balanced way. And so when issues of trauma are not addressed, then that voice manifests and is created as a sense of a protector, but it begins to turn a curve and start to be more of a tormenting voice, or a voice of a bully, or a voice of a child that's always sad and crying. Another thing that I've experienced with women and women of color is also this voice that they can hear other people's thoughts, whether it be in more from a spiritual perspective or in the physical realm. And as looking in on the other side, so people around them may think, "Oh my gosh, this person is so-called crazy because they're responding to something that I didn't even say." And what that is, this voice can come in as a more disruptive and confusing voice, because the person may be hearing the voice of of their inner thoughts of the other person, or an interfering energy that's come in to play a role and to confuse things. And so this type of voice also is linked to those with spiritual gifts, because they can read minds, or there's a portal that is open to the spiritual realm, where these sounds and voices are coming in to interfere and confuse. Now, speaking of the spiritual portal that's open, we have a portal that comes in directly from whatever part of the brain that conducts our hearing. And there's a spiritual link to that. And so when these portals tend to open, we are going through some type of spiritual transformation, or an awakening, or a response, or a call to heal in some way, to heal ourselves on a soul level. And so I have another video that I talked about before about disassociation. And sometimes when we disassociate spiritually, when there's parts or pieces of our soul that have decided they don't want to deal with this body and this mind and all the stuff on this earthly realm, then those parts of our soul tend to be replaced by energies, foreign energies, or spirits, energies that we have created, a voice that we have actually created to come in and protect us and fill that void. And so the other type of voice, when those portals are open, are voices that come from the ancestral realm. They're also voices that we hear that are our own ancestors or ancestors of other people, where the room sounds like it's filled with a whole bunch of voices and people having conversations, and sometimes they're whispering, or sometimes they're communicating with each other, and sometimes they share this information with you, or they're saying it so quietly that it just sounds like a whisper. And lots of times this can be very disturbing for the voice hearer, because they will look on the outside to be so confused, or just attached to, like, really not present in the space or in the present with your conversation. So as family members, as community, as people that are having interactions with voice hearers, let's just try to keep these things mindful. There's also, when the portal is open for voice hearing, there can also be disruptive spirits that come in. And so if there's this spiritual void inside of you that needs to be fed or nurtured, then you can also be linked to more negative spirits and negative energy and darker energy or shadow parts of us. And so these energies are really disruptive. They, may tell you to do certain things that are just not safe. And how you interact with these voices are really, really important on your journey. So if you are actually an experiencer of this, there's support for you, yes, through Western medicine, but also let's keep in mind how we can also tap in spiritually to get a better understanding from our indigenous elders and from those healers that actually work in this arena to help you come to a place of understanding where your voices are coming from, what needs to be dealt with in general, in regards to your own shadow, in regards to your own trauma, in regards to what has been created, and in regards to your own gifts. There are people that begin to hear voices during their awakening process, and it may start with a drum beat. They wake up and they hear drums in their ear, and they can't get the energy of the drums out of their ears. They're hearing these things, and this is also very much a sign of a calling, an ancestral calling, a spiritual calling. So if you are experiencing voices and you do not know where this is coming from, or why you're so confused, or what problems you're having, please see someone spiritually that can help guide you and say, okay, your voices are linked to something that's ancestral. Your voices are linked to trauma that needs to be addressed. Your voices are linked to, you need more spiritual protection because you do have these certain gifts, or you need to go through some sort of initiation to calm things down for you, so that you can really navigate the spiritual realm. And we see a lot of melding between the physical realm and the spiritual realm for voice hearers. And when both realms kind of come together, it can become really confusing and traumatic for the person, and manifest in a way that makes them see and feel like they don't belong. And so sometimes we tend to ostracize those people in our family, even though we do care about them. I've noticed that a lot of women of color that have come to me, they have been homeless, their children have been taken away from them, they are ostracized by their communities or even their family because there's not a spiritual understanding of it. So, and the medications sometimes are just not working. And so if you know someone or if you're having that experience, I'm happy to support you. And then also, this is a call for women, and especially women of color, to come together and share their stories. For those who have been on the other side of it, that have experienced the darker side of the voices, that have experienced the confusion and have come out on the other side, I really would love to hear from you and see how we can collectively come together to support women of color so they don't end up in these shelters, so they don't end up homeless, so they don't feel ostracized, so they feel supported through the process and their awakening process is happening. We tend to sweep things under the rug and ignore them and say, oh, it's just, there's nothing we can do about it. She's just crazy, and that's it. But there is help, and I am proof of that. That there is help through these mental health challenges and spiritual imbalances that can definitely come to a place of balance so that you can be the best you and that you can be of service to the gifts that you've been presented in this lifetime. So again, you're not crazy. You just need the support and the healing and the nurturing for your spirit. So let's find out what that is and work together. And again, if you have a story to share, please let me know in the comments and see what we can do about supporting our women and supporting our women of color. Tukosa. Thank you for listening.